What would you do if the man you disrespected turned out to be your boss and a millionaire? This waiter mocked a quiet customer, told him to leave, only to find out days later that man owned the entire restaurant. What happened next? Shocking, humbling, and unforgettable. Stay tuned. You won't believe how it all ends. It was a chilly Friday evening, and the golden lights from Eat and Fire Grill spilled onto the sidewalk like a warm invitation. Inside, the restaurant buzzed with the sounds of laughter, clinking glasses, sizzling steaks, and upbeat jazz music floating in the background. It was one of those nights where everything seemed alive, except for one thing. Someone was about to make a mistake they'd never forget. Big Shaq, the globally recognized rap star and entrepreneur, pulled up quietly in a simple black SUV. He wasn't wearing anything flashy. No bodyguards. No diamond chains. Just a gray hoodie, dark jeans, and a calm, quiet aura that came from years of knowing who he was. Most people wouldn't have recognized him this way, and that was the point. You see, Shaq had recently purchased Heat and Fire Grill under a private LLC. No press, no fanfare. He wanted to build something that gave back to the community, a place where quality food meant second chances. Many of the restaurant's employees had been hired from tough backgrounds: ex-cons, school dropouts, struggling artists. Shaq believed in giving people an opportunity, but he also believed in accountability. And that's why tonight, he was walking in alone, with no reservation, just vibes and curiosity. As he pushed the glass door open, warm air and the scent of grilled ribs wrapped around him. The hostess at the front, Sarah, offered a polite smile. "Good evening, sir. Table for one?" Before Shaq could answer, a young male voice interrupted. "Sarah, I got this one," said Tyler, stepping in. Tyler was a 22-year-old server with bleach blonde hair, sharp cheekbones, and a personality twice as loud as necessary. He wasn't a bad guy deep down, but lately, his attitude had gotten the best of him. A few good tips had gone to his head, and now he thought he could spot who was worth serving, just by their shoes or hoodie. As Shaq gave him a polite nod, Tyler's eyes flicked down to his sneakers, plain black trainers. "Yo," Tyler said with a smirk. "We're fully booked tonight. You might want to try that diner across the street." Big Shaq raised an eyebrow. His voice was low, steady. "There's an empty table right there." Tyler didn't blink. "Reserved?" he said, folding his arms. "Look, mate, this place is for real customers. You feel me? Not the ones who come in looking like they just left the gym." Sarah's eyes widened, but she didn't speak. The tension was sudden and thick. Shaq looked around calmly. The restaurant was full, but clearly a few tables were open. He looked back at Tyler and smiled. Not the kind of smile you give when you're amused, but the kind that says you just made a mistake, and you don't even know it yet. "I see," Shaq said simply. He didn't argue. He didn't explain who he was. He just nodded and turned to leave. The front door clicked shut behind him, and for a moment, there was silence. Sarah watched through the window as Shaq walked down the sidewalk, hands in his pockets, disappearing into the night. Tyler shook his head. "I'm telling you, Sarah, people just walk in here like it's fast food or something. You gotta keep standards, you know?" Sarah didn't reply, because she did know something Tyler didn't. That man he just insulted wasn't just a customer, he was the owner. Meanwhile, outside, Shaq didn't walk far. Just a block away, he stood by a lamppost and pulled out his phone. With a quick tap, he sent a text to the general manager. "Tried to walk in. Got refused. Shaq." That was all he said. But for Carla, the restaurant's manager, it was enough to set off alarm bells. Back inside the restaurant, she was going over invoices in her office when her phone buzzed. She saw the message, blinked twice, and felt her heart drop. Shaq was here. Shaq was turned away. And someone just disrespected him. Within seconds, she was in the security office, pulling up the camera feed. She rewound the footage. There he was, Shaq in his hoodie, talking to Tyler. There was no mistake. The footage told the story clearly. Tyler hadn't just turned a customer away. He had humiliated the owner of the entire restaurant chain. Carla leaned back in her chair, stunned. She knew what this meant. Shaq didn't get angry. He didn't raise his voice. But when he quietly tested his staff, it was to see who deserved to grow, and who needed to be humbled. And Tyler? Tyler was about to learn the lesson of a lifetime. Just minutes after Big Shaq quietly walked out of the front doors of Heat and Fire Grill, Carla, the general manager, was sitting in her office tucked away at the back of the restaurant. Surrounded by invoices, spreadsheets, and the gentle hum of the kitchen through the walls, her night was going exactly as expected until her phone buzzed. She glanced down casually, expecting maybe a message from the supplier or a delivery update. But when she saw the name on the screen, Shaq, her stomach dropped. She opened the message. Just tried to dine in. Got refused. Shaq. Her fingers froze midair. Her eyes darted over the words again, as if they might rearrange themselves into something less horrifying. Shaquille Johnson, better known to the world as Big Shaq, wasn't just a celebrity. He was the silent investor and owner of Heat and Fire Grill. No one on staff, aside from Carla and the board, knew he was the brains and money behind the place. He had kept his involvement private because he wanted the restaurant to stand on its own, and because he wanted to watch from the shadows. And tonight, someone had failed that test. Carla bolted upright in her chair, heart racing. She'd pushed aside the paperwork and rushed out of her office, her heels clicking fast against the tile floor as she made her way to the back security room. "Please, no," she muttered under her breath, praying this was some kind of misunderstanding. She entered the camera room and immediately began rewinding the footage. Front entrance. Time stamp. 7:42 p.m. There he was, Shaq. Dressed casually, walking in alone. The camera's angle caught the moment clearly. Then, Tyler. Carla groaned aloud. Tyler, the youngest server on the team. Decent work ethic, but way too much attitude. She watched, wide-eyed, as the interaction unfolded in silence on screen. There were no audio feeds, but she didn't need them. Shaq gestured politely toward an open table. Tyler pointed toward the door. Shaq nodded slowly and walked away. Carla sank into the chair. The footage left no room for doubt. Tyler had just refused entry to the man who owned the entire business. This wasn't just bad service. This was a catastrophic lapse in judgment. And it had happened on her watch. Her hand shook as she picked up her phone and hit Shaq's number. The phone rang once, twice, then he picked up. "Carla," he said, calm as ever. "Shaq," she began, her voice already trembling. "I just saw the footage. I am so sorry. If I had known you were coming." But he cut her off gently. Not angry. Not loud. Just calm. Too calm. "Don't worry," he said. "I wasn't looking for special treatment. I just wanted to see how your team treats customers when no one's watching." Carla froze. That line. She had heard it before. It was the exact phrase Shaq used during surprise visits to his other businesses. Usually when someone was about to be fired or demoted. Her throat went dry. "Shaq, Tyler doesn't know who you are. But that's no excuse. He shouldn't have spoken to anyone like that." "I know," Shaq replied. There was a pause. "I gave this place my name, my money, and my belief in second chances. I expected better." Carla knew what he was really saying. Shaq had opened this restaurant with a mission. To uplift the community, give young people jobs, and provide customers with world-class service without the ego. But tonight, one young employee had made the place look like a joke. "I'll handle it," Carla said quickly, hoping to contain the damage. But Shaq chuckled softly on the other end of the line. "No need," he said. "I'll be back in 2 days. I want Tyler to serve me personally." Carla blinked. "Wait, what?" "You heard me," he said. "Set a table. I'm bringing guests." Let's see how he performs when he knows he's under the spotlight. And just like that, he hung up. Carla slowly lowered her phone, brain spinning. Tyler had no idea what was coming. And honestly, she almost felt sorry for him. Almost. 2 days after the unforgettable incident, Heat and Fire Grill was in full swing again, but the air inside felt different. Tighter. More alert. Every staff member seemed sharper, more on edge. That's because word had quietly spread. A VIP was coming. But what most didn't know, not even Tyler, was that the man returning tonight wasn't just any VIP. He was the owner. And 2 days ago, he was just a hoodie-wearing nobody that Tyler had rudely dismissed. Now, that nobody was about to walk back through those same doors. At exactly 7:30 p.m., a sleek black luxury car pulled up outside the restaurant. The valet rushed forward, and out stepped Big Shaq, now dressed in a custom navy blue suit, polished shoes, dark sunglasses, and the kind of quiet power that made people stop mid-conversation. By his side were 2 other sharply dressed men, his business partners from London. Both were high-level investors scoping out the restaurant for expansion. Tyler, drying wine glasses at the bar, glanced toward the door and froze. His heart skipped. His eyes widened. That was him. The same guy from 2 nights ago. Same cool stare. Same confident walk. But now, he looked like he owned the entire city. Tyler blinked twice, hoping it was a trick of the light. It wasn't. Carla rushed to the door, greeting Shaq with a bright smile and a respectful nod. "Welcome back, Mr. Johnson," she said smoothly. "Your table is ready." "Thank you, Carla," Shaq said, then glanced briefly at Tyler from across the room. Tyler's throat tightened. As Shaq and his guests were led to the best corner table, reserved only for celebrities and major donors, Carla turned to Tyler with a neutral tone. "You're serving table 12. Tyler gulped. That's his table?" She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Moments later, Tyler was standing by the table with shaking hands, holding a notepad and his forced professional smile. "Doubly welcome, gentlemen," he said, trying to hide the panic in his voice. "I'm your server tonight." Shaq leaned back in his chair, cool and unreadable. He gave Tyler a long, slow look, up and down, taking in his crisp shirt, stiff posture, and nervous hands. Then he smiled. Not a warm smile. Not a cruel one either. Just a subtle smile that said, "I know exactly who you are and what you did." "You know what, Tyler?" Shaq said, his voice calm. "I'm in the mood for excellent service tonight." A pause. "Think you can deliver?" Tyler's cheeks flushed. "Oh, of course, sir. Anything you need." Shaq gave a single nod and returned to his conversation with his guests as if Tyler no longer existed. Over the next hour, Tyler worked harder than he ever had in his life. He refilled their water the moment it hit halfway. He memorized their orders perfectly. He cracked awkward jokes, tried to smile naturally, and never let their glasses go empty. He even asked the kitchen to double-check the steak temperature twice. Every few minutes, Tyler would glance nervously at Shaq, hoping for some signal of approval. But Shaq barely looked at him. He was calm, composed, in total control of the moment. The pressure was immense. At one point, Tyler awkwardly cleared his throat and asked, Excuse me, sir, sorry, but have we met before?" Shaq finally turned to him with a slow, deliberate grin. "You could say that." Tyler's face turned pale. Something about that smile, that voice, that moment. It clicked. This wasn't just a customer. This man knew. Tyler felt the blood drain from his face as the realization hit him like a truck. This was the same man he insulted and kicked out just 2 nights ago. The same man who he told to go somewhere cheaper. The man he treated like trash. And now, he was standing there, sweating in front of him, while Shaq dined like a king. Tyler's hands trembled slightly as he brought dessert menus. His mind raced with regret, confusion, and shame. What would happen next? Would he be fired? Humiliated? Worse? He couldn't take the suspense, but Shaq wasn't rushing. He was taking his time, letting Tyler sit in the discomfort. This wasn't just dinner. This was a lesson being served, cold, silent, and unforgettable. And it wasn't over yet. The air inside heat and fire grill was warm and buzzing. Plates had been cleared, wine glasses clinked softly, and a soft jazz tune played in the background as servers moved smoothly across the dining room. But something was about to shift. After dessert was served, the hum of conversations was interrupted when Carla, the restaurant manager, stepped forward, holding a microphone in hand. She stood confidently near table 12, where Big Shaq sat, still calm, still collected. She tapped the mic gently. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice firm but bright. "Before you go home tonight, we have a very special announcement." The guests looked up, curious. Some paused mid-bite. Others lowered their drinks. "Tonight," she continued, "you've all been dining in the presence of someone who has done more for this restaurant than most will ever know. He's the reason this place exists, the heart behind the vision, and the one who quietly invested in second chances and community dreams." People exchanged glances. "Please put your hands together for the real owner of Heat and Fire Grill, Mr. Shaquille Johnson, Big Shaq." The room exploded in applause. Some people gasped. Others reached for their phones, filming and whispering. The quiet man in the tailored navy blue suit, who had just been enjoying a slice of cheesecake, stood slowly, adjusting his cuffs. Even as guests clapped and cheered, one person wasn't moving. Tyler. His mouth dropped open in pure disbelief. His eyes locked on Shaq as realization hit him like a punch to the chest. He was the owner. The same man he insulted. The same man he sent away like a nobody. The restaurant now felt 100 degrees hotter. Tyler's shirt clung to his back. His knees felt weak. Shaq nodded politely to the crowd, then turned directly to Tyler. The clapping faded. Phones were still recording. Every eye in the building was now on the young server, who suddenly felt like he was under a spotlight. "You see, Tyler," Shaq said, his voice calm but commanding, "when I came here a few nights ago, I wasn't looking for VIP treatment." He paused. "I just wanted a meal." The crowd was silent. Tyler looked down, face flushed red, wishing the floor would open up and swallow him. "But you," Shaq continued, "judged me based on how I looked. You saw a hoodie and sneakers. You assumed I didn't belong. You told me to try somewhere cheaper." Tyler opened his mouth. I didn't know. That's the point," Shaq said, cutting him off gently but firmly. "You never know who someone is. Could be a millionaire. Could be a single mom. Could be someone just having a hard day. But no matter who they are," he leaned in slightly, "they still deserve respect." You could hear a pin drop in the room. Even the kitchen staff had stopped moving. Tyler's hands were shaking. "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean." Jack held up a hand to stop him. "I don't want your apology right now. What I want is for you to remember this moment." He turned to the guests. "This restaurant isn't just about good food. It's about second chances, growth, learning. I've hired people here with rough pasts, no experience, no direction. But they worked hard, learned respect, and earned their place." Then, with a thoughtful pause, he turned back to Carla. "What happens next is up to you," he said, handing the decision to her. "But personally, I think Tyler needs to learn something more valuable than just a paycheck." Carla gave a respectful nod, understanding exactly what Shaq meant. The lesson wasn't about punishment. It was about humility, growth, and most importantly, never judging a book by its cover. The room held its breath. After Big Shaq's powerful words about respect and humility, every guest in the restaurant assumed the next sentence would seal Tyler's fate. You could almost hear the silent verdicts being passed across tables. "He's done," Fired for sure. Deserves it. But Shaq, standing calm and in control, had something else in mind. He looked Tyler dead in the eyes and said, "I'm not firing you." Gasps rippled quietly through the crowd. Even Carla tilted her head slightly, surprised. But she didn't interrupt. She knew Shaq rarely made a decision without a reason. Tyler blinked, stunned. His lips trembled, ready for any outcome, but not this one. Shaq continued, his voice strong but measured. "From tomorrow, you'll be retraining. Not as a waiter, but from the bottom. You'll sweep floors, mop the kitchen, wash dishes. You'll learn customer service from scratch. You'll shadow our top servers. And when they say you're ready, only then, you can earn your spot back." There was a beat of silence. Then a low buzz of whispers filled the air. A few guests nodded with approval. Others smirked as if justice had just been served. Some even clapped under their breath. Tyler's jaw tightened, but not from anger, from humility. He wasn't being kicked out. He was being offered a second chance. His eyes welled up. And for the first time that night, he didn't try to act cool or confident. He just nodded slowly, genuinely. "I understand, sir," he said, his voice soft and sincere. "Thank you for the chance." Shaq smiled, not wide, not showy. Just enough to show respect had been earned. "Make the most of it," he said simply, then turned back to finish his dessert with his business partners, leaving the lesson lingering in the air like perfume. 1 month later, Tyler's alarm went off at 6 a.m. sharp. He had changed. He now arrived before everyone else. He swept the floors, cleaned tables, carried crates into the kitchen. No complaints, no shortcuts, no ego. Every day, he watched the best servers, how they greeted customers, how they solved problems with a smile, how they treated everyone with kindness, no matter what they wore or how they looked. He listened. He took notes. He asked questions. And most importantly, he never forgot the night. The night he could have lost everything. The night the man he disrespected gave him a second chance instead of revenge. The lesson stuck. Tyler soon earned praise from Carla. Even the chefs in the back, who once rolled their eyes when he showed up, started calling him Mr. Reliable. Customers began asking for him by name. His once cocky tone? Gone. His attitude? Transformed. And then, exactly 1 month later, the moment came full circle. Shaq's return. It was another busy Friday night, just like the one that had started it all. But this time, when Big Shaq walked through the door, everything was different.
He didn't wear a hoodie or hide his presence. He came confidently, suit on, smile ready. Carla greeted him, but before she could even offer a table, Shaq asked, "Is Tyler here?" She grinned. "He's actually one of our best now." Shaq nodded. "Let's see for myself." Moments later, Tyler approached the table. No fear. No faking. Just pride. "Good to see you again, boss," he said with a genuine grin. "Table for one, or will your guests be joining?" Shaq chuckled. "Just me tonight." Tyler led him to a comfortable booth and handed over the menu. "Anything special today?" Shaq asked. "We've got a new special, smoked lamb shoulder with rosemary glaze." Tyler replied, "I made sure Chef Marvin kept a plate aside for you." Shaq raised an eyebrow. "Taking initiative now, huh?" Tyler smiled. "Learning from the best." The service that night was flawless, not just because of polished technique, but because it came from a place of real growth. As Tyler brought the check, Shaq looked up, his tone soft but powerful. "Now that's how you treat people." Tyler didn't say anything at first. He didn't need to. His eyes said it all. He had learned the lesson. And more importantly, he'd lived it. Never judge someone by how they look. You never know who's sitting in front of you, or who you might become. Respect is free, but the impact? Priceless. Thumbs up, medium light skin tone like this story? Hit that like button, subscribe for more powerful life lessons, and tapped the bell to never miss a moment.